Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of the Pilot On NFL podcast brought to you by the Props Network. I am Steve Clark, one of your hosts, joined as always by my co-host, Mr.
Joel Walkowski. I did not know where to jump in because I was excited to get to this riff right here. You ready for it? 52 yards, Steve?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Look at us right now. It looks like this is a podcast about managing a Trader Joe's. Listeners at home, if you are listening, Steve and I both wore Hawaiian shirts to the Zoom call. I have not worn a Hawaiian shirt maybe in 5 years up to this, but here we are. Are you a Hawaiian shirt guy, Steve?
I have this one, and I wear it every time it's clean. It's one of my favorites. It's got little tigers on it.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a nice shirt.
It's a little understated, and like I'm pissed off. I have a mustache, a Hawaiian shirt. The thing that's stopping me from having a Magnum PI costume is not having a Detroit Tigers hat.
Which is something you definitely have with arm's reach, probably.
You know, it's actually a little sore than that, Steve. I left New York City to begin quarantine on March 13th, and I left it in an Uber on March 12th. It is out of my... The saddest thing about this story is I'm letting someone stay in my apartment, and I was like, hey, can you mail me some contacts? And they're like, sure. I got room for something else. You need anything? I was like, well, I need that Hawaiian shirt.
You had that specially shipped.
No, I think you're showing it right. Like, now is the time you want to wear a Hawaiian shirt. There's a beauty to it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to make your own paradise. What's that Bud Light slogan? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Bud Light, what Michael Jordan drinks.
Also, forgive me if I seem a little out of it today. I think I have a concussion.
Yeah, that seems okay. Now I'm worried about you. Did you actually have a concussion?
Yeah, yesterday, this is very strange. I woke up in the morning and you know, I'm 28 years old. So I got straight out of bed. I stood up and then I fainted and I hit my head on my nightstand and I woke up and I had very sore elbow and my head was throbbing. And today my head still hurts. I haven't thrown up or anything, but light does make my head hurt. So I think I have a mild concussion.
It's crazy you say that. My sister had the exact same thing happen to her yesterday.
No way.
She woke up, she passed out, she woke up again. She was afraid she had a concussion, and she went to the hospital. She ended up getting diagnosed with food poisoning, but it was a scary thing to...
Holy crap. What happened yesterday?
You weren't wearing that Hawaiian shirt. So that's what happened. But you got to take away the stress. Number one line of defense against stress-related concussions is a Hawaiian shirt indoors.
Yeah, so if I forget my name or anything we're talking about, I probably have a concussion.
And you did good work yesterday. This is the most we've worked on an episode.
Yeah, we're very excited about this episode.
And you were there for it the entire time. So that's kind of your version of the flu game.
Yeah. Yeah, this is me with a bloody sock on the mound in the World Series.
Well, you did have one note in the outline that could have been concussed Steve talking, and that was, I've been watching and betting on South Korean baseball. Yeah. I made $40 on the NC Dinos. I bet on them because the name Dinos is really funny to me.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, South Korean baseball opening day was Tuesday at 1 a.m. East Coast time. And I stayed up and watched it, which probably led to me fainting when I woke up because I stayed up so late watching baseball. But yeah, I made $40. The Dinos won 4-0. I decided I would bet on them because they were on ESPN and their name is the Dinos. And that's a great name. They were playing against the Lions. I couldn't bet on the Lions.
No way. But they do I would get their gear. Their gear looks like Detroit Lions gear.
Yeah.
It is pretty sick.
Yeah. So if you want live sports, watch South Korean baseball. ESPN is airing one game every day. And the quality of baseball is fine. It's good enough.
So let's get to these news. We're going to breeze through these. There's three things we have to talk about. Andy Dalton signed a one-year deal with the Cowboys. he had better offers elsewhere. He had more opportunities to play elsewhere. But really, this isn't a reflection on Dak Prescott and his contracts. This is Andy Dalton wanting to go home.
Yeah, he just wanted to go back to Dallas. He has a house there. He doesn't have to move any of his family. He gets to be close to his family. It makes sense.
Yeah, and like Dallas, like if you look at it, their backup quarterbacks have a pretty clear pipeline to some pretty high up coaching positions. So someone on the wrong side of 30, like I think that could weigh on his decision as well.
Yeah, like their current offensive coordinator
is Kellen Moore.
Who was a backup quarterback for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, and then John Kitna, I believe he ended up okay after a stint in Dallas, and both went Detroit, Dallas, front office job.
Heck yeah. So then maybe the Red Rocket will be in the front office in a few years.
Yeah, and there was just a funny bit of a lot of people reported that Andy Dalton is receiving $7 million this year. That is incorrect. There is a $4 million incentive for Andy Dalton to win the Super Bowl.
Is that true?
Yeah.
As a backup, he can win the Super Bowl and make $4 million?
Yeah.
So that's pretty sick.
So, Steve, I'll put you in a similar place right now. I will bet you $4 million to 1 that Andy Dalton does not win the Super Bowl. You could just feel like him for the next 6 months.
So wait, I'm betting $1. And if Andy Dalton wins the Super Bowl, I win $4 million.
Yeah, you win $4 million.
All right, I'll take that bet.
All right, let's go. Next order of business. Frank Gore signing a 1-year deal with the New York Jets. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Frank Gore is going to go down as the most overrated player in NFL history. Was never a great running back. It's mind-boggling me. But the interesting thing to me is now his son is starting out his college football career. Yeah. And could we see a LeBron situation?
How old is Frank Gore? Let me look this up. I think he's like 36.
Is 65 years old. He is the first player in NFL history to play a full regulation season while receiving a full pension from the post office.
He's 36. So if his son comes out of college after 3 years, Frank Gore will be 39 and his son will be a rookie. That'd be so sick if they were both on the same team. Ooh, gives me chills thinking about Hall of Famer Frank Gore with his son on the same team.
Yeah, I want to see a backfield with Gore and more Gore. I feel like I'm watching Cabin in the Woods all over again.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Before we get to, so today's episode is great. We're so excited about it. We planned something called the Suck Off, where we have pitted the 16 worst teams in NFL history against each other. We've created a bracket. We found a website to simulate the games. We're going to get to that in a second. But first, so stay tuned. Don't leave. I know this is starting off with really bullshit news, but stay tuned because it's going to get really fun. The schedules for the NFL are coming out on Thursday night. We don't have anything really to talk about this. I'm just really excited for it. Apparently they're doing a broadcast. Like they're making like a 2-hour show out of it, which is very funny because there's nothing else going on.
Jesus. I love the NFL. I spend 3 hours a day on Lions Reddit. I will not be watching that broadcast.
But once those schedules come out, we'll have something to talk about next week. So that'll be great. Thank you, NFL, for giving us something.
I don't think we do. I think we should take this template. Not news. You don't know what team will be good or bad unless you listen to the Pilot on NFL podcast.
That's right. And by the way, we're going to take a quick ad read here. When we come back, we're doing the Suck Off. The Suck Off will probably be the rest of the episode. Please stay tuned. We're so excited about this Suck Off. We have 2 special guests coming on. Stay tuned. We're going to do a quick ad read. We'll be right back. We're going to give a quick shout out here to fantasydata.com, who has partnered with the podcast and who has partnered with the Props Network. If you want to use your extra quarantine time preparing for fantasy football, which will hopefully happen in September, or researching stats for future bets, fantasydata.com is the perfect website for all the best advanced research and analytics you can find online. And because you're here listening to the Pilot On podcast presented by the Props Network, you can get a free week at fantasydata.com by entering the promo code PropsHQ. No spaces, PropsHQ, all one word. So yeah, Joel, did you tell them anything about it yet?
I didn't give them the name you came up with. I think that's a real gem. So today you'll be participating in the Suck Off, And not the first time I've hosted one of those with my bros, I tell you that. We have nothing to talk about here at the Pilot on NFL podcast, so we're trying to determine the worst team of all time. We have a 16-team bracket. I prepared breakdowns. I researched every team. And then you guys, you're just going to be the bystanders. I did make a line for every game in the tournament. You're just going to riff with us and bet one way or another.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
This is great.
Yeah, let's introduce our guests real quick.
Okay.
Let's get going with that.
So we have one of the finest athletes in the history of New York comedy basketball. His shot selection is always questionable, but since blowing out his Achilles, I think you're going to see a new discipline from him as a man and as a player. You might know him from the Book of Ye podcast. I love Kanye. And he runs the funnest show in all of Bushwick, Auntie's House. Chris Daniels, how are you?
Oh, what's going on, man? That was a brilliant description of me that I feel like it's pretty accurately going to sum up my transition from streaky slasher and just drastically it was way too much outside shooting to purely I will deem cross on half court necessary only if I see an advantage.
Good.
If I don't see anything, I'm just gonna stand back here, man. That's it.
And,
Chris, you blew out your Achilles?
Yeah.
No.
It completely ruptured.
Oh.
And
sorry.
I do have eyewitness verification that he was cooking everybody.
I was.
That's what I
had
am.
my team. I had the two tallest people on my team, and they were trash, and I had to carry it myself.
That lets you know I wasn't there this week. That fact right there.
Well, I won't name names, but you know, layups ain't that hard.
He's talking about comedy star Luke Monas, of course, softest man I've ever met. And that's not inside baseball because he's kind of famous. Our next guest, he's probably the Detroit comedy scene's favorite son. He works with the Sklar's all over the place, and he produced comedy at the Beauty Bar for 5 years. And most importantly, he won a car and the Big Walkowski. Please welcome the Daryl Morey of the New York comedy basketball scene, wow. Nathan Fridson.
Wow, high praise. Although I win, so I do appreciate that, though.
I just meant you have the same opinions about the Chinese.
They deserve a voice.
I can easily see you pissing off 1 billion people. No problem.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we've gathered Chris and Nate here today for something we're calling the Suck Off. We've compiled the 16 worst teams in NFL history. We have some facts about them just to run them through with you guys. You guys both gamble, correct?
Too much, yes.
So you guys can bet on the games as we go through. We've established a bracket with seedings. And I guess this is for bragging rights. Joel, did you want to offer up a prize for whoever had the bet?
Yeah. These are two of my favorite guys from my home of Detroit, and the winner gets a pizza from Archie's. How's that sound? I'll Grubhub it to your place, no problem.
You got a deal.
Is Archie's in Detroit?
Yeah, I'm in.
Archie's is Detroit style.
So it's Detroit style, gotcha.
So we have 16 teams, and we did actually simulate the games on What If Sports.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of mediocrity, we hosted all these games in Jacksonville Stadium.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no home field advantage. Keep that in mind as you're going through these matchups.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get started. The first match. Oh wait, Joel, go ahead.
And I think one's prohibitive, but since these guys are Detroit, are you happy with us starting with the Lions matchup? Is that okay?
Absolutely. So
yeah, I was hoping we'd get that out the way fast.
Well, if you guys had to choose the worst Detroit Lions team in the franchise of Detroit Lions, what year would you choose? What season would you choose?
I mean, you have to go with the 0-16, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
don't think that they were the worst.
Okay, who do you think was the worst?
Yeah,
I feel like I feel like there were years before, because I've only been watching since like the 90s, like the late 90s to now. But I feel like I feel like there were like Charlie Batch teams that
okay.
Yeah,
or Joey Harrington teams that might have been like man, you guys suck. But that 0-16 team, I mean,
right. I mean, like,
it was scripted.
The thing is, like, John Kitna had a better year than a guy could have been, the guy who you would say was on the worst team ever. But I have to say that team, the 0-16 team, because I went to a game where they lost to the Rams, the then St. Louis Rams, who won 2 games that season.
Yeah, baby.
And we cover that game. We covered those matchups in this podcast. Yeah, I rewatched one of them.
Amazing. So at that St. Louis game, my brother's car got broken into and cleaned out. So that is, to me, the worst season of sports.
All right, that's what I thought too, but Joel had something else in mind.
I made an executive decision because I view 2008 as a Lions fan. That's the end. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. After that, we're able to become respectable for 6 or 7 years, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the beginning because, like, the 2008 team, they were likable. They spawned a great Kyle Kinane joke about being terrible at your job and still driving home in a Bentley. Right. And I think the 2001 Lions, Matt Millen's first team, deserved this mantle. Okay, previous year, team went 9-7, missed the playoffs on a last-second 54-yard field goal. I was at that game because we didn't sell it out locally, and that was the only way I could see it. And this team, I think the low point in Detroit Lions history is second week of the season, they bench Charlie Batch, put in Ty Detmer. Ty Detmer is starting quarterback, throws 7 interceptions, doesn't lose the starting job, and then at home, Monday Night Football, they lose 35-0 to the St. Louis Rams.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a rough. That's
hard
team.
To argue. That's
yeah.
Bad.
See, that's how we differ, man. I would have, and I probably have just compartmentalized that pain, and I didn't need to hear that again, like that ever happened. That doesn't even exist in my memory. Ty Detmer, that's PTSD coming back. That name, you shouldn't remember that name.
Yeah, he threw 7 interceptions against the Cleveland Browns of all teams, and you know, it's also about how you fail. They did win a second game later in the season against Quincy Carter's Cowboys, and that winning that game made them miss out on Julius Peppers. So I will also say the highlight of that season.
The context of the losing.
Yeah, like, this is the most painful year to me, and then we still have 6 more years of the management. This is also the year of Marty Morningweg taking the field position in an overtime game. And then,
I can't imagine that a team going 2-14 though is more painful than your team being the first to go 0-16.
There was actually like a weird sense of pride in 0-16.
Yeah, 0-16. Like, when you go 0-16, you get to say to everyone else, like, "See, we are the worst." Crazy,
because nobody else knows
your pain about this.
Yeah, okay.
We were all cheering for the Browns to win a game a few years ago. We were all big Hugh Jackson fans in December. So, yeah, it's our mantle. And this team, it also had Johnny Morton saying, "Jay Leno can kiss my ass" after winning their first game, and then he was featured on The Tonight Show.
Fun. I like that. You know, that's –
yeah.
if that was today, you would be using that meme constantly.
Absolutely. All right, so that's the 2001 Lions team that Joel chose as the worst Lions team in franchise history. They're going up against the 1996 New York Jets, who went 1-15. Now, this team is interesting. This team probably has the best roster of all 16 teams on this list, but they went 1-15. They had Keyshawn Johnson. They had Neil O'Donnell, who at the time was a pretty decent quarterback. Neil O'Donnell tore his calf muscle while warming up. He slipped on the Jets logo, and it sidelined him for the rest of the season. So then in came Frank Reich.
And Neil O'Donnell's lost to history. He was the most expensive NFL free agent in history at the time. He was put on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Wayne Gretzky to announce the coming to New York. So it was a pretty big bust situation.
Yeah. So
Wow.
this is a bad team with a decent roster. So keep that in mind as they go up against the 2001 Detroit Lions. What do you have as the spread here, Joel?
You know what? I'm making the Jets 2.5-point favorites.
Okay.
So that's how I score it out. I see Keyshawn Johnson. I see Wayne Corbett. I don't think this 2001 Lions team is going to be able to cover them. And I should know.
Who is the Lions starting running back in 01?
James Stewart.
James.
Not bad. And we should give you the caveat. In this bracket, the losing team advances.
Right.
Okay.
So I guess when you are saying your bet, you can still take the Jets at -3. But I guess you're hoping that the Lions. No, yeah, that works. If you think the Lions will lose, take the Jets -3.
All right. I gotta say I don't like the Lions' chance against this Jets team. I mean,
Okay.
the Jets have easily the best player on either roster. I'm gonna go Jets -3. Lions advance.
Okay, Chris.
Me being the safe better that I am and scared better sometimes, I'm gonna buy a 0.5 point and take the Lions +3.5 because these games reek of mistakes and futility, which always leads to a game being won on a field goal.
Okay.
So
All
do
right.
I think the Lions? Do I think the Lions will win? No. I never think the Lions will win in a situation such as this. But I do think that both teams will combine suck enough, make the game interesting in the last 2 minutes, and somebody will win off of a field goal.
Wait, this was outdoor, so it's outdoor, right?
This is an outdoor game.
And we still got Hansen, right?
Yeah, we had Jason Hansen, 22 for 25 on field goals that year.
Yeah, I'm still going Jets. I've still got to go Jets.
Okay. All right.
Slowly built a case and was like, no.
All right. We simulated this game. The New York Jets won 26-20.
Oh, 2 winners.
Ty Detmer was 13 for 27 for 159 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns. And then
59 yards?
159. Either Detmer got hurt or he got benched for some reason because Charlie Batch also went 2 for 3 for 54 yards. Not sure what happened there. Maybe they were
that's going to create a quarterback controversy for the 2001 Lions.
Yeah. Jason Hansen.
Ty Detmer. You heard it here first.
Jason Hansen did drill a 51-yard field goal. James Stewart ran for 85 yards. Johnny Morton had 4 catches for 85 yards. But the Jets pulled it out with a Keyshawn Johnson touchdown. Frank Reich won player of the game, 17 of 31, 285 yards.
Do you have the time of that last touchdown?
No. Why?
Oh, man.
To go to your point.
No, you can go to the play-by-plays in there and find it.
I just want to know, like, if it was a last minute thing.
That's
I'm
classic Lions.
I mean, I lost the bet loses, but I get to have some sense of victory here.
Yeah.
You gotta go with your heart, Chris. You know what's in there.
So the Lions will be moving on in the suck-off to the next round.
Congratulations. Great. The Lions have advanced in the playoffs for the first time since 1991.
Been waiting my whole life to hear those words.
That's really why I had you guys on here. Like, I just wanted you to hear that sentence.
That's crazy. That's amazing.
Lions remain the Lions in advance. Great.
Let's talk about this next matchup, which consists of the team that I think will probably end up winning the suck-off, the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arguably the worst team of all time, pretty universally known as the most pitiful display in football history. They famously went 0-14. It was their inaugural season, so they had really bad players due to the expansion draft. Actually, after this season, the NFL changed the rules of the expansion draft because of how shitty the Bucs team was after they became the expansion team. They were outscored by over 20 points per game. Their offense averaged less than 9 points per game, and their defense allowed over 29 points per game. They were
not good.
No. Their quarterback was Steve Spurrier, famous Steve Spurrier.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
He finished the season with a passer rating of 57.
Wait, where did he coach at later?
South Carolina.
Florida, South Carolina, Washington.
Oh, right. Florida, South Carolina, right. Yeah.
And he was on that team?
He was the quarterback of the first Bucs team.
And the real star of the show here was head coach John McKay, great USC coach, and he was running the team, running the roster with Ron Wolf, and he also paid for the team's jet fuel out of his own pocket and was never reimbursed. And he had great quotes as, "We've determined that we can't win at home, we can't win on the road. What we need is a neutral site. Keep in mind, this game will be played in Jacksonville."
Yeah.
That's what the team needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said we can't stop a pass or a run, otherwise we're in great shape. He said the only difference between coaching in Tampa versus coaching a college team at USC was a 3-hour time difference.
That's a nice insight into how well the players were paid at USC.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind, this Bucs team ended the season with 17 players on injured reserve. I think that the simulator we're using has all those players healthy, I think. So maybe that could flip the script a little bit.
But McKay, he did promise that the team would beat Pittsburgh's timetable for a championship, which is 41 years. And to his credit, the Bucs won a Super Bowl in 34 years.
It's pretty close.
That is.
So this team, arguably the worst team in history, they're going against the 1969 Steelers. This is the team that eventually led to the Steelers having the first overall pick and selecting Terry Bradshaw.
Okay.
Their defense was historically bad. 6 opponents scored at least 38 points on the Steelers in this 14-game season. That's basically half the games they allowed 38 points or more. Their quarterback.
Late curtain.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What was the average points back then, though?
I have no idea, but that was last by a landslide.
It was low.
Yeah, also
they were
69.
Playing the time travel Chiefs.
Yeah. Their quarterback and their halfback were both named Dick. They had Dick Shiner at quarterback and Dick Hoke at running back. I have that in my notes. Maybe that will influence you.
Good notes.
Those are good names for the suck-off. I will give you that.
Yeah.
Their offense averaged 15.5 points, and their defense allowed 28.9.5 points per game. So they're pretty bad.
This team also had 4 Hall of Famers on the roster: Chuck Noll, Joe Green, and it was just a dynasty before they figured it out.
Yes.
They bottomed out similar to a Cowboys team we'll be covering. But I have the spread on this one. I think it's big. I have the Steelers by just that talent level. They're 6.5-point favorites over the Bucs here.
Okay.
Nate, who you got?
Over these two. This is tough. This is a tough call. The Steelers obviously have the Hall of Famers, but as a Detroit sports fan, as Chris alluded to, we've had our hearts broken in very, distinct ways, very varying ways over the years. And a good team that is supposed to win should, in this world of bad teams, should lose to the worst team of all time. So I'm going to say that the Bucs with the creamsicle jerseys, maybe arguably the best jerseys in football history, besides of course the Lions in the 60s with the simple Honolulu blue and silver. I'm going to say that Steve Spurrier and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take down the I don't know, would you say flagship team in football?
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers. Because of course that's how it would happen, and then Pittsburgh would rise to prominence, and Tampa Bay would be up and down throughout the year. Yeah, it has to be it. Tampa Bay wins.
Wow.
I think Tampa Bay.
Huge. Chris?
I think that's totally wrong. I would double dip in this matchup easily. I would take the Steelers 6.5, and I would take the Steelers first half 4.5.
All right.
You want to do a parlay? You want to?
No, 2 separate ones.
I'm glad I had Chris on the pod, as he clearly needs this.
Clearly missing real action.
He misses women's tennis at 3 a.m.
Yo, man, is they all right when she gets to know him?
All right. This game was simulated, and the Steelers won 38-10.
38-10?
Yeah.
What was the first half of those points?
Okay, we'll keep track of those later on when we simulate the next round. I don't have that information for you here, but I'm sure they covered 4.5.
We have a lot of stuff on the Bucs. We're just getting into them, so I could talk about the Bucs another round. I'm glad to see them lose.
Yeah. Let me go through some game highlights of this one.
We have more Bucs later?
Well,
they advanced.
Oh, right.
Because
they lost.
In this game, really quick, they only had 9 first downs all game, 180 total yards of offense. The Steelers rushed for 276 yards, only had to throw the ball 18 times. Steve Spurrier went 9 of 24 for 140 yards with a touchdown and interception. The Steelers missed 3 field goals, so this could have been way worse.
Oh, okay.
And the Steelers dominated time possession 38 minutes to 22 minutes. So pretty dominant display.
Missing field goals on a neutral site, eh? Interesting.
There could be some point shaving in this matchup.
Oh yeah.
Someone put in a big wager at Steelers minus 28.5. So it was probably Chris. What's our next matchup, Steve?
Next matchup is the 2007 Dolphins against the 1980 Saints. Let's start with the Dolphins here. And, they went 1-15. Go ahead.
They went 1-15. They had a trade reversed because they couldn't reach the player on the phone. They had 3 players arrested, including one who bit a cop on the arm. Another, Joey Porter, was suspended for getting in a fight in a casino with a Cincinnati Bengal. Probably worse to me, this team went 1-15, but still had the absolute gall to cut 4 Detroit Lions greats before the season.
Wow.
Matt Prater, Corey Schlesinger, Dante Culpepper, Zahir Hakim.
Wow.
Cut them all.
Wow.
They had Culpepper escorted out by security.
And this was they were in the first London game, and if you recall, they had a float of Jason Taylor that was absolutely terrifying.
He was like standing with his like arms on his like fists on his hips, and it looked like he was like taking over London.
Yes.
The lineman, Jason Taylor?
Yeah.
He was the face of the franchise at that point.
He actually looked like a dolphin.
He's smooth. He does look like he has like a sheen of moisture.
That motherfucker looked like he would glide through the water.
You might recognize their running back, Ronnie Brown. He had 600 yards this season on the ground. Marty Booker was their leading wide receiver. So some names you might remember. I guess this was only 13 years ago.
I remember their Madden ratings.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I'm more likely to run into these people on the street than to remember them.
All right. And then let's talk about their opponent, the 1980 Saints. This is the Saints team that led to the Aints nickname, with the people showing up to the stadium with paper bags on their heads. This is the Archie Manning season. He was sacked 41 times.
And similar to the 2001 Lions getting like derailed by nearly making a playoff spot, last game of the 79 season, Saints are up 3 touchdowns in the second half to secure a playoff berth. They blow that lead. They don't make the playoffs. The next year they go 1-15. And this, on the first time a New Orleans game was broadcast nationally, was the debut of the paper bags over the head. So really,
wow.
You got some historical significance for failure
iconic.
Here.
It is iconic.
Yeah. That changed fandom forever.
It did.
That bought Sports Illustrated at least like 4 covers a year.
Yeah.
Showing whatever awful team with paper bags on their head. Man, this is a tough matchup.
It is a tough matchup.
And in this matchup, I see the Saints. They won their only game by a single point. I'm giving the 2007 Miami Dolphins, I'm making them 3.5 point favorites.
Wow.
Well, keep in mind they're playing in Jacksonville. That's pretty close.
Pretty
to
close to
Miami.
Miami. It's true.
The Parrot Heads will travel.
That is.
So let's go to Chris Daniels first. Make your pick.
This is pretty easy for me. Just wait. What was the line again?
Dolphins 3.5.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Dolphins 3.5 purely based on the advancement in supplements and nutrition in 2007. Some of these guys, that we're talking about on the other team, like, do they have, color photos? Like, I don't know. I feel like Ronnie Brown against anybody on this other team, if Ronnie Brown was back then, he would be in a Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Maybe that's a stretch.
Chris is basing that entirely on Madden, for the record. That has nothing to do with anything else.
He was a 73. He wasn't great, but I'm just saying. I'm not taking any team over this 2007 Dolphins team like that old. Like, I can't do it.
For sure, that makes sense. Nate,
okay, Nathan.
All right. Is Ditka involved in the Saints at this point?
Dick is not involved. Not for another 17 years, I believe.
All right, then I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take the Saints.
Wow. Okay.
Go Lions. Fuck Ditka.
All right. The results of this
mistake
game.
that Nate's making, letting his personal feelings.
Never bet with your heart. Always bet with your heart.
Oh man, no, that's how I bet. It's my soul talking.
Simulated this game.
I'm good at this.
The 2007 Dolphins won 36-29 over the Saints.
Come on.
and looking at this fake box score, Ronnie Brown had 155 yards and 3 touchdowns, so not bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Chris.
Proves Chris's point.
Yeah, I'm like Nate. I bet with my soul, which is why my soul tells my bookie, "No, I'll have it for you next week."
You don't go against science, guys.
It's true. And this was crazy that Ted Ginn was on the 2007 Dolphins.
And he'll be a starter for the 2020 Chicago Bears. What a world.
Crazy.
Ted Ginn's like Benjamin Button. It took him a while. He just kind of got better. He's still playing, right?
Yeah, he's on the Bears.
Like, it makes no sense that he's still playing. It makes no sense. Like, he should be like Des Bryant isn't playing anymore yet. Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
Des Bryant has a little more wear on the tires, maybe.
And if he's on the Bears, you said?
Yeah.
I guarantee
I've never been more excited.
He gets 2 TDs against the Lions.
He will definitely he will get 2. He
will get a breakaway.
Yeah. He's gonna return a punt.
He'll smoke Jeff Okudah after Jeff Okudah's been playing man-to-man for 3 quarters.
Jeff Okudah is going to he's going to like be texting Darius Slay by week 3.
Yeah. Yeah. They're gonna get an apartment together.
I can't imagine. I don't think Jeff Okudah has any friends. I think he's kind of a weird dude. I think he's good. Like, he wants to play for Patricia, and that's a red flag to me.
You don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want him on my team anymore.
Yeah, he craves discipline. That's the book on him.
How does Matt Patricia keep getting bigger?
Bigger?
The opposite of diet and exercise, Steve.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he had reached his peak when he was defensive coordinator in New England, but every year I see him, he just seems to grow sideways.
Yeah, he's got like an opposite of Dorian Gray situation going on. He's got like a gorgeous picture in his attic.
Hold on, speaking as a current person who walks with a limp, he had a leg injury.
Hey,
there you go. That's true.
Yeah, he was the picture of perfect health before that injury. That's a good point. He was definitely an athlete. Clearly an athlete.
Oh man.
Okay.
40 years ago.
Let's go to this next matchup. We have the 1989 Dallas Cowboys against the 1981 Baltimore Colts.
Ooh.
I guess let's talk about these Cowboys first. They went 1-15. They had a Hall of Fame coach, Jimmy Johnson, and a Hall of Fame quarterback, Troy Aikman. and they went 1-15.
And they did make the Herschel Walker trade in this season, building a dynasty, but there was some terrible team building leading up to this. They had 2 first-round picks, including the first overall, and then the supplemental draft. They spent them both on quarterbacks. So they had 2 first-round quarterbacks who just hated each other, one of which played for Jimmy Johnson, who was Steve Walsh, not the worst quarterback of the 2. So it was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. And Troy Aikman, this was his rookie year, but he played 11 games, lost all 11 games, threw 9 touchdowns and 18 interceptions that's a 1-to-2 touchdown to interception ratio. Horrendous.
And
Not great.
This is the real Troy Aikman. What we saw over the rest of his career, that's a Troy Aikman playing with Michael Irvin, Alvin Harper, Jay Novacek, Emmitt Smith, the best offensive line in NFL history. He's the worst player in the NFL Hall of Fame. He's the Mitch Richmond of the NFL.
He's worse than Namath?
Whoa.
Worse than Namath? Are you serious?
I think so. Namath was at least integral to that team. I think Aikman was along for the ride. Do we have a defensive Mitch Richmond coming from the upper right hand corner?
I just don't understand. Mitch Richmond was solid, man.
Yeah, Aikman was solid. He was pretty good. He was a fringe all-star, similar to.
I tell you what. Mitch Richmond overall is better than Klay Thompson.
Whoa, way.
All right. Come
better
on.
Than Mitch Richmond's not better than Klay Thompson?
This is the quarantine
I don't think
content
Mitch Richmond is better than Klay Thompson, no.
Why not?
I watched them both play.
What was Mitch Richmond lacking?
What's that?
What was he lacking?
Teammates?
Teammates, rings. I don't know.
Any memorable seasons or NBA moments in general?
Oh man, I don't play the accomplishments game. That's a victim of you.
What the Hall of Fame is for?
That's circumstance. That's all circumstance.
Klay 2016 against Oklahoma City is one of the best postseason performances in NBA history, and a guy from our indoor hoops game gave me a pair of his game shoes. So,
whoa,
yeah, pretty exciting.
So you've been bought.
You've been bought.
Team Klay. I'll be rocking Chinese footwear. I'll be joining you on the injured list soon, Chris. That's why. So they're playing what team are they playing?
They're playing the 1981 Baltimore Colts, who might have the worst defense in the history of the NFL. Let me find these stats here. They gave up 33 points per game and 425 yards per game. An NFL record 533 points against and a minus 274 point differential on the season.
And I like to point out why these teams are memorable. The 81 Colts are there. Eric Dickerson told the fans, don't come to the games anymore. I think that's great. Also, at one point, their owner insisted on calling the plays during a game.
Yeah.
And they lost that game 38-13.
Did he actually call the plays, or did you just insist it?
No, he went down there on the sideline and was helping call plays, and they lost by 25 points.
And they won their first and last games, both against the Patriots, which allowed them to finish not last in their division. So I think that's great.
So those are the teams.
In this game, I got a big spread here. I have the Cowboys being favored by 7.5.
Wow.
That's a lot. I don't know about that.
We've seen some blowouts here.
We have already seen a couple blowouts.
Do we have an option to stay away? This seems like a trap.
Okay.
If you choose to stay away, choose to stay away.
Wait. As you know, go do it. This is a game we play. I'm a buy a point and hope for at worst to push a half point and get Cowboys -7.
Okay.
All right.
So wait, hit me with that line again one more time, please.
7.5.
Cowboys.
7.5. Yeah, I gotta take the Cowboys. I gotta take the boys.
All right. The Cowboys won this game 16-0.
Okay.
Just a terrible football game. There was no touchdown scored until the last 3 minutes. It was all field goals until the last 3 minutes of the game. All right, next game on the docket. The 2017 Browns, who went 0-16 against the 2001 Panthers. Let's start with this Browns team, right?
I got jobbed on this Browns team. I had a huge prop bet on Deshaun Kaiser being named the first week starter, and some offshore site, mybookie.ag, refused to pay it out. So I hate this team.
Your offshore bookie refused to pay out a Deshaun Kaiser prop bet?
Yeah, they did. And I bitched about it, and then they only gave me a $25 credit. I was going to win like $700 on this stupid Deshaun Kaiser bet, and they voided all of them.
Normally that's how you like intro your Gamblers Anonymous.
Yeah,
I think.
He went to Notre Dame. Of
my
course,
offshore bookie.
And this team, memorably, they traded for quarterback A.J. McCarron, but forgot to tell the league, so the trade didn't go through. That's pretty sick. And they went 0-16, but it wasn't a charming 0-16 like the 2008 Lions. Kind of the Milli Vanilli of winless seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came pretty close to winning a couple games. They were competitive.
They did.
Deshaun Kaiser threw 22 interceptions and only 11 touchdowns. He was a big reason why this team went 0-16.
Yeah, they lost their last game in overtime against the Steelers. So
Yikes.
Was it in Pittsburgh or Cleveland?
I think it was in Cleveland.
Tough way to go.
Tough way to go.
And they're going against the 2001 Panthers. I really liked reading about this team. It's probably the worst performance a Super Bowl winning coach ever had. George Seifert, who won Super Bowl in 94 with the Niners, he was the coach, and according to the team, he wouldn't look them in the eye. And across the board, Steve Smith was a rookie on this team, and he was only told, don't screw this up. They had a 29-year-old rookie at quarterback.
Chris Winkie.
And after the game, he said, I don't know if it gets any better than this. It didn't. Two players were convicted of murder during the season, and their only win came in week 1. Steve Smith, first time he touched the ball, he returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown, and they beat the Vikings, who had just found out Corey Stringer had died. So pretty memorable season there. In this matchup,
Jesus Christ.
They are a colorful bunch. I still think the craziest thing is the eye contact. But in this game, I have the 2001 Panthers behind Steve Smith. I have them as 3-point favorites. So we'll go to Chris Daniels for the pick.
Let's see. Yeah, it sucks. I've always followed my mom's rule of you must always root for the black QB if it's not the Lions. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to air caution against that and go with the Panthers.
Okay.
You got a team bolstered by grief. That We Are Marshall movie is very underrated. You get those things factor into like character, and character is something those Browns did not have.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Nate.
What's that line again? Give me that line.
Panthers by 3.
Panthers by 3. I am loath to pick against any team with Steve Smith on it. He is fantastic, but I cannot bear to see the Browns. I cannot bear to see the Browns advance in a worst team ever.
Wow.
That I have too much provincial pride. I am picking the Browns.
Wow. Okay.
And you both get this one. Chris, I think he's undefeated so far, 5 for 5. And we had the Browns 20, the Panthers 27. And just to show you how good Hugh Jackson is, they were leading 17-7 at the half, and then blew a big lead.
So the simulator accounts for head coaches.
Character, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm even getting the intangibles. How do you predict the intangibles, man?
You're killing it. Truly. All right, let's go to the next one.
I think our score is 6-3 at this point.
Chris is beating Nate. Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to have him looking like Matt Patricia.
Which one of us?
He's about to have me looking like Vegas Dave.
The next matchup is two teams from the 70s. We got the 1971 Bills against the 1973 Houston Oilers.
And I'll be quick about these. 73 Oilers finished with a point differential of minus 248, but I really got into the weeds on this one, and a lot of people speculate that the 72 Houston Oilers were worse. So
wow.
Yeah, there we go. Pretty shocking stuff. And this Bills team, scrolling through, because we have, they finished season minus 210 point differential. And
this is an O.J. Simpson team.
Yeah, but they used O.J. Simpson as a decoy, a device that was later used by the real killer. At one point, O.J. was converted to wide receiver and said he literally met players in the huddle. So
unreal.
In this matchup, I have the 71 Bills behind O.J. Simpson, 2.5 point favorites. I see a close one. Nate Fridson, who you got?
Well, I have historically we've learned do not cross the juice. I think if there's any lesson to come from the time in which I've been alive, it's that O.J. Simpson will not be stopped, and I'm gonna take the Bills.
Okay,
Chris.
What's the line again? One more time.
We have Bills 2.5.
Bills 2.5. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take the Bills 2.5. I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Simulated it. The Bills lost to the Oilers 20-28. I just wanted to talk about the Bills quarterback really quick. Dennis Shaw. He threw 26 interceptions and only 11 touchdowns in the regular season. In the simulation, that could have been helpful info for you.
Yeah.
Guys. In the simulation, he went 8 for 33, 129 yards with a touchdown and interception before he got benched, which is kind of an improvement over how he actually did in the real season. O.J. Simpson had 102 yards. So he had a very good game, just wasn't enough for those Bills to take down the Oilers. So the Bills advance.
Okay, next matchup, we have the 92 Seattle Seahawks, 2-14, but they scored 8 points a game. They allowed only 20. They had one of the best defenses in the NFL, but the worst offense of all time. Their leading receiver was a fullback. They inducted their first member to their Ring of Honor, and he died 2 days later. They picked Dan McGuire because his brother was Mark McGuire, and he was 6'8". And they have the worst game in Monday Night Football history, which featured 20 points.
Ugh.
20 punts. God
20
damn.
punts.
20 punts.
Yeah.
That's Jesus.
20 punts.
And just for the context of really hurt, they ended the season. They had the first overall pick, and then they took Rick Meyer over local hero Drew Bledsoe.
Wow.
So this team truly sucked.
Yeah.
Cortez Kennedy won Defensive Player of the Year, and it's weird. That's the only season he wore number 99, just something dumb I came across. And then my favorite team, they're going against my favorite team in this bracket, the 1990 New England Patriots. So they won a game early on, and then they sexually harassed a female reporter in the locker room. Several of the receivers forcibly masturbated again in front of her. She was taunted by other players. And then, this kind of snowballed, and she went to the owner of the team, and he retorted by calling her a classic bitch.
Jesus Christ.
And then he denied using the language. So there was a scandal in the Boston newspapers about whether he called her a classy bitch or a classic bitch. And the Pats fans, they sided with the 1-15 Patriots.
Of course.
The reporter's tires were slashed. Her apartment was robbed, and she received hate mail and death threats until eventually transferring to Australia.
Wow.
So real likable bunch here.
Oh my God.
And in this game, I have the 92 Seahawks as 5.5-point favorites.
Man.
I feel like we didn't learn any like football about the Patriots.
Yeah,
Well,
you
their
do. You know
they had
what
a
they're like as people.
I know more about their masturbation tactics than their
They scored 11 points a game. They gave up 28 points a game. So it's a point differential of -17. Their leading passer got 6 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and their coach was fired before the season.
What's the line again?
We have Seahawks behind Cortez Kennedy getting 5.5 points.
I'm gonna roll with the better defense and take the Seahawks 5.5.
Okay, Nate.
Well, I mean, the Patriots, it's wild. The Patriots are probably the team of the last decade, I would say. And yet they're, and also like socially of this last decade, and they were ahead of the game and masturbating in front of women who didn't want it.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is what forward thought. They're just always, the Patriots just always have a step on the rest of the league. It is, this is tough to pick. This is a tough pick. I'm going to go Pats. I'm going to pick the Pats.
Okay. The Patriots won this game 17-7.
Oh man.
So Nate gets it within 2.
Nate's catching up here. There was no offense in this game, as you would expect with the Seahawks team. Just a bad game overall. All these stats are terrible.
Yeah, in the notes, Steve wrote, honestly, a pretty even game. Okay, our final first round matchup. We have 2000 Chargers. That's the year they had to start Ryan Leaf to show the world he was bad. Always a fun situation. They went 1-15 with a point differential of -12, and this set them up for a lot of draft success. I have them going against the 2009 Rams.
Yes.
Who, Steve, I believe you loved that team.
Yeah, I'm a Rams fan, and this was
on that?
So this was the Rams team. Mark Bolger was the quarterback. But also Kyle Bowler came in for a while. Keith Knoll came in. You remember Steven Jackson, legendary running back Steven Jackson.
Yeah, sure
he was on this team. Our leading receiver was Donnie Avery, if you remember that name. James Laurinaitis was our best defender. He always had like 100 tackles. So some pretty great names on this squad.
I don't think this team might have been bad. Like they're not historically bad.
They're terrible. They averaged on offense 10.9 points per game, one of the lowest in the history of the NFL. They allowed 27 points per game, just completely inept on offense. The whole 2007 through 2009 was like maybe the worst 3-year stretch in the history of the NFL besides the Bucs' first 3 years.
Yeah, this team threw only 12 touchdown passes, and one was by the kicker. However, the redemption of this team is that the Wikipedia page has a rundown of every game, and it starts each game by calling it a duel. 60 times. And this team, their only win came against the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
I watched a highlight package of that game. The first highlight was a Detroit running back getting 4 yards. The next play was a running back getting 3 yards. Then they showed Stafford completing a 3rd and 4. Then they showed a guy dropping a pass. It was incredible.
Oh yeah, this team is really bad. This was I think this is part of the reason why why I'm pessimistic in my real life now, just like being shaped by these Rams teams of the late 2000s and learning that you shouldn't be hopeful for anything. That's just kind of, at least in football, how I treat watching sports. I never think my team will win. And it's a lot to do with these late 2000s Rams teams. They released Torrey Holt the year before this and Orlando Pace, right. 2 Hall of Famers. It was brutal.
So in this game, I have the Chargers as 4-point favorites. Ryan Leaf getting 4 points. What do you guys think?
I'm staying away from Ryan Leaf I'm taking the Rams +4 easily. I think Mark Bulger can do more than Ryan Leaf.
Okay.
Nathan.
Yeah, Ryan Leaf, he just can't, even in a hypothetical matchup here, I can't put my money behind him.
I've Googled Ryan Leaf highlights. It's sad, man. It's
mostly
sad.
people yelling about him,
Yeah. I don't know if he's deleting footage himself. Because it's sparse, man. It's not there.
Yeah. In this simulation, the Chargers won 38-6.
Man, I really could have made up some ground there.
I know. The Rams had 12 first downs the entire game. The great Steven Jackson was only held to 50 yards. It was a rough game.
Unreal. Unreal.
In this sim, Ryan Leaf gets 5 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
No, the sim's broken. The whole
this might discredit the entire tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
You sure that didn't sub in Ryan Mallett?
Man, there were some dark there's some dark Reddit threads going on about Ryan Mallett right now. If you have a minute, go check those out. Yeah, one includes him dropping an N-bomb to an entire college classroom, and then just to ask for a Scantron test.
Yuck.
Okay, so we're gonna breeze through the rest of this, babies.
Yes, second round. We're starting with the 1976 Bucks versus the 1980 Saints. We talked about the Bucks, how bad they were earlier. This is the Saints. Joel, do you have more about the Bucks you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, for the Bucks, I would just like to add that they had the offensive coordinator walk out in halftime of Game 5, and in just a gesture that's so close to my heart, they were introduced in Green Bay as the Tampa Buccaneers, and they spent the whole season introducing them as the Green Packers. So,
all right.
The Battle of the Bays.
I just simulated this game. Oh, wait. You have to bet on it. Set the line for this, Joel.
Yeah, I'm going to give the 80 Saints I'm making 4-point favorites here.
Okay.
Nate, who you got?
Man. I'm going to go give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks. You take the points. Give me the Bucks.
All right. I'm taking the Saints. 4?
Yeah.
4 points. I'll take it.
All right.
It's been simulated. The Bucks lost 16-21. So really good handicapping, Joel. That was really close.
Right there, man.
Let's see some of the highlights of this game. The player of the game was Archie Manning. He threw for 2 touchdowns, 196 yards. Steve Spurrier threw 5 of 20 for 93 yards and a touchdown. Yikes. Oh, also John McKay, the head coach's son, played for him on this team. He led the team in receiving yards in this game with 48. Yeah, just a terrible game, it looks like.
Coach's pet.
Yeah, and after this season, the NFL said, hey, any other expansion team, you should go ahead and get medical info on the players you take. So they had to give some really basic advice. So let's go to our next quarterfinal. We have the 2001 Detroit Lions against Steve's beloved 2009 Rams.
Ooh,
this would be a good point to include that the 2001 Lions were the first year I had season tickets, and they changed me forever. I'm going to make the Lions 3.5-point favorites over Mark Bulger's Rams here.
You know, that Rams team sounds exactly like a team that the Lions would lose to.
Yeah, I can confirm.
I got to take the Lions 3.5.
Okay.
I'm not even buying points anymore just because I feel I got that's how in it I am.
The Lions are 3.5 favorites, 3.5-point favorites.
Yes.
That seems wrong somehow.
It does. Truly does. 2.5 sounds better.
I don't know why I have the feeling that this is wrong, but it is.
You guys were just praising my line making 30 seconds ago.
This is the life you chose, my friend.
I'm taking the Rams.
All right. The Lions win 35-24
I'm
in
back.
this simulation.
And the Rams advance to the semifinals.
Unbelievable. Charlie Batch threw 4 touchdowns in this game after coming in. Incredible.
Don't root against the Lions or the black quarterback when you have the chance. You get both of them. You got to do it.
Yeah, and if you cheer for the Detroit Lions, they will make you cheer for literally any black quarterback. Rodney Peete, Charlie Badge. There were some real duds in there. And let's not even get Dante Culpepper,
yeah.
Andre Ware. We got a lot. They are really just the entire roster is constructed to test that theory.
Yeah.
I do like that.
I mean, maybe we'll trade Kerryon Johnson for Teddy Bridgewater. Who knows? That could happen.
Bridgewater may be too good. And, any of our listeners know the Carolina Panthers will hit the over this season. There's going to be a good year out of Carolina. Sorry, we got to we're catering to degenerates. What's our next matchup, Steve?
Well, I have here the Colts against the Seahawks. 1981 Baltimore Colts versus the 1992 Seattle Seahawks.
I know they let me down in the first game, but I got to say, I still believe in these Seattle Seahawks. Might be the uniforms here, but these teams are mirror images. The 2 worst offenses of all time. I'm giving Seahawks 4 points, 4-point favorites. Nate, who you got? This is such a stupid.
This is really tough. I'm trying to picture in my head really bad football from this era being played.
Didn't the Colts blow out their last game?
They got 0 points the last game. They lost 16-0.
Oh yeah. We going Seahawks. We going Seahawks.
Okay, Nate.
I feel like, did I pick the Colts last time? No, I picked against the Colts last time. Maybe I'm gonna take the Colts. One last hurrah before they're stolen in the middle of the night.
And Simmet.
This is a strange score considering what we know about these two teams. The Seattle Seahawks win 33-28.
Wow.
In a game that featured 2 safeties.
Sick.
That's a win, right?
That's a
win if you took
That's a win. Chris is running off with it.
I think Chris did just clinch it with that one. Let's play out the string. Archie's, they have expensive toppings. 2 topping limit. Okay.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah, they're like $4 for pepperoni and some shit. So we do
pepperoni and olives.
Gross.
Yeah, what the hell?
I like that. He's right.
Nah, Archie's, you got to go garlic and artichoke. They kill it.
I got my own garlic.
Okay, fair. Let's move on. We got just a couple more. We have the 2017 Browns versus the 1971 Bills. I'm making the Browns 6-point favorites here.
Wow.
6 points is a lot. I'm gonna go Bills on that one.
You can't. I can't. I'm going Bills just for the post game O.J. Simpson, Hugh Jackson handshake.
I know I did a whole. Oh yeah. I know I did a whole spiel about the advancement of nutrition and stuff. But yeah, I can't go with these Browns.
I cannot pick the Browns. I cannot do it. I got to pick the Bill. I got to go Bills.
We have morals, guys.
I just submitted that the Cleveland Browns lose to the Buffalo Bills 17-30.
Wow.
Yes.
So the Browns advance. We have 2 old teams, 2 modern teams. So let's find out. Maybe this is the final right here. The 76 Bucks versus the 2009 Rams.
Ooh, that's a great matchup.
Yeah, I would.
Line's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's got to be like 42 points.
I think we're going to go Rams 7.5 here.
Okay.
That's high. but not as high as I thought it would be.
Yeah, I would take that pretty easily. 7.5.
You taking the 7.5?
I think they win by at least
How
10.
for you to take the points?
14.
Wow.
Okay, let's make the line 14.
I'll take the Rams.
If the line is 14, I'm taking the Bucks.
I'm still taking the Rams.
Yeah, you got to make the line, so you got to get action on both sides. I'm really learning here, guys. Either way, I'm breaking even on this Bucks-Rams matchup.
All right, I'm simming it. The Rams win 29-10.
Oh, and the cover.
Wow, just barely. That's a great line you said. Wow, Steven Jackson rushed for 3 touchdowns.
How many yards?
120.
Sick.
Get a bounce back game.
Bounce back.
Our other final, we have the 2017 Browns versus the 1981 Colts.
Oh, this is a good one.
We're going to go Browns -2.5 here.
Wow.
I'm going to go Colts. I think Colts win outright.
Wow, Colts money line.
Just because I don't want to see them advance, I'm taking the Browns.
Okay. I just simmed it. The Cleveland Browns have defeated the Baltimore Colts 23-17.
Oof.
Yikes. They get their first win. Deshaun Kaiser is player of the game.
Wow. We're saying sentences that have never been said in human history here at the Pilot On Football Podcast. So we have our final, the 1981 Colts versus the 1976 Bucks. I am going to make the Colts 21.5 point favorites.
That's smart.
Who you got?
$21.5 point favorite.
Wait, it's the Bucks versus the Colts, right?
Yeah.
21.5 point favorites. That's an asshole move. I will take the Colts. 21.5. I'll do it.
You know what I'm doing. Give me all those points. Give them. Jump in my lap points. Give me the Bucks.
Nate rides with the 76 Bucks. He'll be buying the jet fuel for the team. Steve, you gonna sim it?
Yeah. Before I do, just before we wrap this up.
Things always go well when this happens.
I just want to say the whole suck off in general. These are the two teams I thought would be at the end. So I'm very proud of myself. I know
Did you take a future on this?
I should have taken a future. I know this website is probably pretty arbitrary, doesn't do a great job, but for what it's worth, I nailed the finals. I just simmed the game. Do you want to know the results?
No,
the Baltimore Colts win 37-0.
Whoa!
Let's go!
Just an outrageous way to end it. I can agree. I think the Bucks are the worst team of all time, and this scientifically.
Wait, so who wins worst team of all time then? But it was Bucks.
The 76 Buccaneers.
Yeah, man.
They are a winner. And just real quick for shits and giggles, Steve, will you sim 2009 Rams and 2017 Browns just to determine the worst modern team?
Okay.
I at this point in the game, I don't think Steve's going to say no to simming anything. He's a man at home.
Cleveland.
The Rams definitely win that game.
I don't know.
Chris has been jonesing for this. You see, he's still dialed in.
All right. The Browns win 28-14.
I mean, who could have seen that coming?
Well, thank you guys for coming on to do this really whimsical, idiotic thing with us.
This was fun.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything you want to plug or anything coming out?
There's nothing.
What's your Instagram handle, Chris?
Everything, Twitter, Instagram at Sir Chris Daniels.
Nice.
Look for me walking on a sidewalk near you.
Hell yeah.
I'm hoping that Ziggy Ansah jersey comes back into relevance. We'll pick him up cheap and you can wear it again.
Oh, he's a free agent? He ain't coming back here.
Nate, you got anything?
Fool.
Follow me on Twitter at Nate Fridson, NateFridson, and that's good. That's enough. Follow me there.
Thank you, boys, for coming on.
Speaking
of Twitter, while you're here, I want to let you guys in on this this Twitter challenge we've been doing here on Pilot On. Every week we try to get 5 new Twitter followers. This week our goal is 25. You want to guess how many we have?
26?
Sweet.
We have 25 Twitter followers. We
On
hit
the
our
dot.
goal once again.
If we keep hitting our goal, we should make it like 2 million or something.
Yeah.
Self-actualizing. And also to any of our listeners, we did set on, I will be getting a cameo from Nickel Roby Coleman to put up to promote the show. Guys, I miss you both. I can't wait to see you in life. I can't wait to see you on the basketball court again.
God, yeah.
You guys you're all in trouble. I'm back in game shape.
I can't wait. I'm so rested and healthy. I cannot wait.
Nobody told me I got fat. What's wrong? I'm back at playing weight.
It wasn't the right time.
All right.
Peace, guys.
Dudes.
All right.
See you guys. Thank you so much.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Pilot On NFL podcast with 52 yards Steve Clark and Joel Walkowski. Congrats to the 1976 Bucks, the worst team in NFL history. We're all so proud of you.
Winners of the suck off. Thank you for joining us for this monumental occasion. Hopefully you enjoyed that simulated tournament. Give you some sports to listen to. And we'll see you next time. Follow us at Pilot On Podcast. We'll see you next week.